And it wasn't until I was building everything out that I realized I was not stressed about work at all because of all the systems that I had in place. And I realized how much power there is in good systems, good processes, and now it's fun.
Welcome to the RV Entrepreneur Podcast, the weekly show for nomads, work campers, RVers, and entrepreneurs looking to earn a living or build a business while enjoying the RV lifestyle. This week's host is Kimberly Crossland. Let's settle in and enjoy the RV Entrepreneur Podcast, brought to you by RV Life.
Welcome back to another episode of the RV Entrepreneur Podcast. I'm your host for this week, Kimberly Crossland, and I am joined by the hot mess fix chick, Jennilyn Gaitan. Jennilyn has been a full-time RVer since November of 2020. She has worked in administrative roles in multiple industries over the last 20 years of her career, and now she has taken all that experience of handling the administrative side of a photography businesses and retail and higher ed and real estate to becoming a virtual assistant and administrator of her own. She loves to travel. She's visited 42 states in her RV that she also tows. And if she could, she would go to Disney World every single day. So I know you're going to get so much out of our conversation today. But before we dive into it, one thing that Jennilyn needs a lot from the road is obviously a good connection when she's working with all of her clients. And I want to tell you about the King Extend Pro 5G cell signal booster. This is the ultimate solution for boosting your cell signal on the road, and it's perfect for RVs, for trucks, and trailers. King Extend Pro enhances voice and data coverage for all U.S. carriers. With it, you get to enjoy better connectivity, whether you're parked or you're on the move. There's no contracts, there's no monthly fees, and if you use King Extend Pro Plus model, the Plus model, you get to enjoy double the boosting power with a second set of antennas. How's that? Enjoy the mobile RV lifestyle while staying connected with 5G ready technology and versatile mounting options. And I know probably by now you're going to want some more information so you can stay connected from the road. So go and visit kingconnect.com and see why King has been the RV connectivity leader for over 2 decades. Plus, you, our podcast listeners, gets to save 15% with the code RVE2024 at checkout. So definitely head on over to kingconnect.com. Check them out while you tune into this episode with Jennilyn. Welcome to the podcast, Jennilyn. We have been Facebook friends for so long. And so being able to sit and actually have a conversation with you is so exciting. So before I know a lot about your backstory, but before we jump right into all the questions that I have for you, why don't you give our listener just a little bit of a backstory on what type of RVing you do and your business?
Sure. So I'm Jennilyn Gaitan. My husband and I have full-time RV'd since November of 2020. We're in a Grand Design fifth wheel that we love. It has treated us so well over the almost 4 years that we've been on the road. And we've visited 42 states in our almost four years on the road. And I have helped in the towing with that. So I'm definitely a big encourager of women drivers too. And my business is Hot Mess Fix Chick. And I help really successful business owners that are just amazing at the things that they do, but aren't as good at the admin. So I help all the behind the scenes with the admin on their businesses.
I love it. We just bought a new Grand Design as well. And so Grand Design does not sponsor the show, but now we're going to give them a nice little plug anyway, because we love ours as well. I think it's fun. We don't have a fifth wheel. We have a bumper pole. We have a toy hauler, and we got it because we wanted our kids to have that extra room in the back, which has been really nice, but they have so many great designs. So it's awesome. We're kind of in similar rigs. That's cool. I didn't even know that. I said I knew a lot about your backstory, but I'm glad you introduced yourself so I could get to know you even a little bit better. Awesome. Well, being on the road since 2020, talk to us. Let's go back to the 2020 when you guys first started. Talk to us about what happened when you took that big leap, because there were a few unexpected things that occurred in your story, weren't there?
Yeah. So when we first hit the road, we were doing real estate investing and we were very successful. Things were going awesome, but 2020 totally changed real estate in so many ways. And we traveled really fast. Our first 6 to 8 months or so, we were going so fast. And the income was going down in the real estate business. So it was kind of one of those, well, let's just pay the minimums on the credit cards. And then it was, well, wait, how much is on the credit cards right now? Um, so then we had this conversation of, oh no, what are we going to do now? And before we did real estate, I had a wedding and portrait photography business, which it's funny, as we were getting ready for this, I realized that the reason I got out of photography was almost the same reason we didn't focus as much on real estate. When I went full time into photography, I wasn't getting the same amount of work and it just wasn't paying the bills. I had breakfast with some other photographers and I said, I wish I could just do the business side. And her eyes got real big and she said, I will hire you right now. And so I started working for other photographers as their studio manager, doing all the back end business things. And so when we had this, oh crap, we have to figure out something else besides real estate, I was still working for one of those photographers. So I reached out to her. And then I just put out kind of a call through some friends looking for clients in the admin, because I've just done admin my whole life. So I've always wanted to do the fun jobs. I was in wedding photography, but I kept getting put into admin roles. I was in clerical when I started working retail, and then a receptionist when I was working corporate. And I kept fighting it. Like, no, I want to do the fun jobs. But so we just started focusing on me building an admin business. And one other thing that I started to do around that time was blog on our Journey with the G's. We do a little bit of content there. And I started blogging what we actually spent every month on the road, because I didn't see that as much then. It's definitely now. There are a number of people that blog about it, and I share about that. But I started blogging our actual costs. So if someone does find themselves in this situation, they'll have a good idea of what it costs.
Okay, so I've got a lot of questions about your backstory. Specifically, you said, and they're all good questions because I'm just fascinated. You said that you found yourself continuously getting taken away from the quote unquote fun jobs and put into these admin. But I have to be very honest with you. Some of my favorite parts of owning a business is the administrative side of it. It can be really fun.
Yeah.
Are you someone who just actually you find yourself being gravitated towards? It's funny. One of the other reasons why I bring this up is because right before we hit record, we were just talking about playing typing games. Mario Teaches Typing was a fun game as a kid, and you're like, oh, I've got to go look that up. I feel like you and I are kindred spirits in that way. We're like, it's actually kind of fun to do that type of back end work. So are you someone who really has fun with it?
I do now. And it's funny, as I was building the business and creating the marketing, I was using photos from a hike I did in Glacier National Park to Cracker Lake, which is one of the most beautiful hikes. And I actually jumped into the glacier. I actually jumped into the glacier-fed lake. And I used that photo after I got out of jumping into the lake in all my marketing. And it wasn't until I was building everything out that I realized I was not stressed about work at all on that hike. My to-do list was fine because of all the systems that I had in place. And I realized how much power there is in good systems, good processes, and that really was a shift for me. And now it's fun to go into a business and take what they do and save everything. And now the admin is fun. Now it's the fun job. for me because I get to work also with so many cool clients in so many different fields. So when I originally got into it, it kept getting pulled into admin. I wasn't a fan, but now I love it. I love the admin side.
Yeah. And I wanted to point that out because so often we do have that resistance to something where we're like, we're
Mhm.
actually really good at it when we get it going. We actually enjoy it more than we thought we would once you, like you said, like you get those systems in place. And so I just think for someone who might be in the starting point of their journey with, well, what am I going to do? Or what can I do full time on the road? Or how can I take what I'm doing now part time, turn it into full time? Or, the big question that so many people have is, what is my purpose and what am I supposed to
Yeah.
be doing? Sometimes we all have those existential crises, and you're not alone if you're having one. You're not alone if you've ever had one. I certainly have. And we go through those inflection points in our business, but it's those like light bulb moments, like when you're jumping into
Mhm.
the lake, when you're like, oh, hold on, I'm not
Yeah.
stressed. And there's something here. And that when you have that something, it might feel easy for you because you figured it out and you've gone through the hard part of figuring it out, but that's what people need. And that's what people
Yeah.
are like, I now need to go to Jennilyn and get some help because she has it figured out. I don't want to have to go through all of that. I want her just to
Mhm.
tell me what to do and help me out with a specific area. And so it's really cool that you've done that. So talk to me about, because the name of your business is Hot Mess Fix Chick. How, and we already talked a little bit about how it got started, but how'd you come up with that name, and give us a little bit more detail about it?
So when I was interviewing new potential clients, I talked to one and she built this amazing, successful business enough to hire her whole family to work in her business. And I got off the phone and I'm talking to my husband, Brett. And another thing I noticed in some of my calls was a lot of my potential clients and my current clients would call themselves a hot mess. Like, I'm just a hot mess. I'm just a hot mess. So I tell him this story of this lady who helped she hired her whole family, and he said, that could be you could be the hot mess fix chick. And the name was born, and it's just perfect. And then my current clients, when I told them my business name, they're like, it's perfect because I'm a hot mess and you're helping me fix. So it yeah, I'm just looking at my notes. Yeah, so it was half my husband coming up with the name and half recognizing that my clients call themselves hot messes.
I love that. I mean, one of the things I talk about in copywriting all the time is using the voice of your customer, and that's exactly it. That's, you totally walked the walk there, where you're like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, they have that self-identifier of being a hot mess, and you are the one that can come in and fix it, and that's perfect.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. What a fun story and a fun backstory to your business name. So as you're getting started, you've found your way on the road. You guys overcame some of these hurdles of, hold on, let's document how much we're paying every single month. Let's also figure out how we're going to shuffle our own income generation. And
Mm-hmm.
you created the Hot Mess Fix Chick. What were some of those big challenges that you faced in the early days while you were starting your business?
The biggest one was internet. And we were at Yosemite, the Thousand Trails Yosemite, and I had read the reviews that said there's no internet, there's no cell service, but early days of being on the road, you're like, oh no, it'll be fine. I'll get on the internet. I'll have cell service. And no, we did not. They did give tips on, you can drive to this spot over here and stand next to this gate and you'll have cell service. And we went, tested it out, and it was great. We go back the next day to work and it didn't work. We had to drive into town, able to work, but realized we can't keep up working here with this connection. So we had to leave early from Yosemite. But we were able to go into the park one day while we were there. And funny enough, the internet connection inside the park was great. But we had already decided to leave early. So that was a big thing at the beginning. And also, we had to start to say no to a lot of things. we couldn't go on all the hikes. We couldn't go out to eat all the time. And even still, that's a struggle. You have the freedom of working for yourself, but since you can work at any time, I mean, I could take off the rest of the day today, but then I would still have to do the work later. So it was definitely balancing saying no to different things and doing the work when I needed to do the work, for sure.
Yeah, that's such a bummer when you have to like cut a hike short to get back to a Zoom call or
Mhm.
something like that.
Yeah.
Have you been able to learn how to put up like some boundaries to your time, or do you only schedule things in certain areas of time? Like maybe meetings are only on Tuesdays and then you plan your trip around it, or have you overcome that?
We definitely move on the weekends if we can help it, for sure. And I have started putting up kind of work hours. So I work between this time and this time. I've started doing a project day. So that's been neat, where I keep my phone on do not disturb all day. And I'm still working for my clients, but I'm doing the project work, the building out the back end of a webinar, or putting up a recording of a webinar, a sign up, and then auto emails that go out after that. So really work that you need to focus. You can't have the notifications. So that's something I've started to do. And I try not to work on the weekends if I can help it. So yeah, a couple of those things that just to try to keep the balance. Yeah.
I love it. And it's important. And it is difficult to always hold to it, of course. I can
Yeah.
totally empathize with that. But it's important to at least try and mentally say, okay,
Yeah.
I'm not going to focus on this today, or I'm only going to accept calls on this day, or, just
Mhm.
feeling into your own rhythm. Because sometimes, I'm an introvert and an extrovert. I love being
Yeah.
around people, but I also need some time to, fill my batteries back up afterwards. So it's
Yeah.
just knowing yourself and where you can be the most productive energetically.
Mhm.
So I think that that's a really wise approach for sure. Talk to us about you have the two biggest things that you would change in creating your business and your full-time journey. What are those two big things, and what can we learn from them? So like I was saying before, if somebody is in the beginning stages, what is it that they can learn and say, oh, maybe I don't want to do that again, or maybe here's how I do things a little bit differently?
So I would say have multiple streams of income. The one good thing, when our real estate investing income was going down, we had a rental that was coming in. And even in my business now, my clients are in all different types of fields. So even though my business is the admin, I have clients in so many different fields. I have a real estate agent, I have a scientist, I have a musician who also teaches dance. So I have clients in so many different fields. So that is a big one, is having those multiple streams of income, so that if something happens to one, you've got income coming in from other places as well. And then for RVing, I would go slower. I would go so much slower. We probably moved when we were going out west that first year. There were some times we would move every 3 or 4 days.
Oh, wow. That
And
is really quick.
it was so fast. It was so fast. And I would recommend treating it like a lifestyle, not a vacation. And it's funny because every single content creator will say that. They'll all say it's a lifestyle, it's not a vacation, and nobody listens. And so you go fast and you treat it like a vacation. So I would definitely recommend that, going slower and just taking the time to learn how you like to travel. For us, 2 to 3 week stays is about the sweet spot, but we didn't know that until we hit the road. So it is a chicken and an egg kind of thing, of you don't know what kind of travel you're going to like until you hit the road. So, but I would definitely say go slower and treat it like a lifestyle.
Yeah, that's really good advice. And it's also nice to honor the fact that, when you hit the ground running, you're like, you really do hit the ground running and you just want to go between all the different places. And it's fun to see as much as you can see. That is the beauty of the lifestyle, but also you need to be able to settle in just a little bit and come up for air, especially as an RV entrepreneur.
Do you struggle with inadequate cooling in your RV during those sweltering summer months? The issue might be simpler than you think. Did you know that your RV air conditioners are not directly connected to any air ducts in most cases? This common setup drastically reduces their efficiency. Cool RV has engineered a brilliant solution to bridge this gap, priced at only $84.95 each with free shipping. Dive into the details at coolrv.com. That's cool with a K, rv.com. Podcast listeners can save 5% with code RVLife.
I want to go back to, you talked about diversifying your income streams, which I think is a very solid piece of advice. Our co-host, Rose Willard, had an episode that I was able to, it was so much fun. I got to interview her, put her on the other side of the interview for that particular episode. She said the same thing. It is so, so, so important. So I want to know a little bit more about your business and what types of services, because you talked about working for a lot of different industries. Do you do the same thing for all of those industries, or what types of services do you offer? When someone says, hey, I'm a hot mess, help me fix it. What is the first step, and what is that process of figuring out what it is they need and how you can step in and help?
So I'll find out what they do and then how they do it. So a lot of times it's a number of Zoom calls with a screen share, and they show me how they're taking the steps to do what they're doing. A lot of them, like I said, they're amazing at what they do, whether they're a speaker or a coach or a singer. And it's just the behind the scenes of, okay, when I'm going to a show, what are the things that I need to do? And we talk through that and we create checklists of everything that they need to do for that. It's finding out what their business is about and figuring out what are the repeatable tasks that need to be done for the business. I do a number of different things for each client. Each client is different because of what they do, but it is figuring out the admin side. So it could be setting up their webinars and the behind the scenes of that, making sure the auto emails are set up, that the signups are going into the CRM or the email marketing system, and those are tracked. We'll do research for our clients, whether it's researching grants or policies for the business. We help manage Facebook groups. So one has a public Facebook group, and so it's just reviewing the questions to make sure the person isn't a bot or a spammer. Also, some are with memberships, so we'll make sure they're actually a member of the membership to let them in, or if they cancel their membership, we'll take them out. We help with the contracts. Also helping with the email marketing, the back end of that, drafting things up, as well as bookkeeping. And it's funny talking about things that are fun. I love the finances and bookkeeping side of the admin, which was a little surprising, but once I got into it, I'm like, I love this.
I cannot relate to you on that because I hate it, but that's why we need people like you. So that's good job security when people don't like it. So that's really good that you sit down and you take the time to really get to know them and exactly what they need. Do you offer strategic direction, or do you take their strategy and say, and here's what you need to actually see this through?
I'll typically take their strategy. Sometimes I can see if there's holes in the process. You've been doing it this way, where they fill out this form and then they have to upload over here and then add this over here. And I might say, do we need that many steps, or can we combine them into one program? I'm not as much on the strategy, but definitely taking what they already have and helping them implement that and find any holes.
Yeah, so it sounds like you offer a lot of like experience strategies. So making sure that that experience is
Mhm.
smooth and
Yeah.
works really, really well for the person on the other side of the screen. So do you ever partner with other people to help kind of bring in others to fulfill that strategic side of things? So the reason why I ask is because you talked about diversifying your income, and that is a really strong way that a lot of people, especially virtual assistants, hot mess fix chicks, do things where they'll bring in other people so you can really offer a suite of everything without you having to be the one to always be on. And going back to that RV entrepreneur lifestyle of needing those boundaries and wanting to be able to spend more time exploring and building that lifestyle of being on the road without, your business taking up all the time. Is that something that you're able to kind of infuse into your offer suite without you having to be the one that's always doing it?
Yeah, that's definitely something that I'm looking into. I haven't been as much bringing in others or recommending others, but it is something that I'm working towards, is bringing more people onto the team to handle some of those tasks that I'm not as good at or could be done better by someone else. That is kind of where the future's going, is becoming more of an agency and having more of a suite of VAs to help in different areas for my clients.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's such a great way to see into the future of where you're going with it. But you have so much to offer right now that I imagine that your plate is overflowing with really good things and really fun tasks. So let's talk about how your business has evolved over the past 3 years. So you got started with the hot mess fix chick, and how has that transpired? How has it grown? And also, we've kind of touched on your future plans, but what are your future plans for the hot mess fix chick? Where are things
Yeah,
going?
the biggest thing that I am proud of and happiest about is that I've been able to bring on my husband to help do the work. He is definitely the big researcher in the team. You give him a task and he will research all the different areas. He's also gotten really good working with Chat GPT to help solve some of these problems. So that's been really exciting that I could bring him onto the team. And like I said, I do want to transition to more of an agency where maybe I'm handling the calls with the clients and seeing what needs to be done, and then having the VAs on my team handle those admin tasks that, they handling the admin tasks that anyone on the team could do. Um, and another thing that I'm working on, hopefully will be done by the time this posts, is I'm building a training on how to set up Asana in an afternoon. I use Asana as my project manager, and I've used it for everything. I use it with all my clients. And so each of my clients goes through the process of getting their Asana set up. So the training is mostly for my clients, so they're familiar with Asana and we can make that transition easier. But I'm also going to sell it for people to set up, because you can use Asana for everything. We got on the road in 4 months, from let's do it to peace out home base, or peace out home. And I point to Asana as one of those reasons, because I could keep track of everything we needed to do, from getting our condo ready for rental, to which RVs we wanted to look at, to here's all the things we need to do to be out and to get on the road. And we also use it for our breakdown, setup, hitching, and unhitching. Between all of those, we have a 300-point checklist to make
Oh,
sure
wow.
that everything is taken care of. And I think it's partly grand design in a good product. And I think we really lucked out with our rig, but we haven't had anything major. And I point to the checklist as part of that we don't make some of those mistakes because we're following the checklist.
I think
So
that's so
getting
great. It
that,
sounds like you've got a couple of products there. You
yeah,
have not only how to set up Asana in an afternoon, but also you have your RV checklist, to make sure that nothing goes wrong. Like you roll
Mhm.
over a chalk, like that happened to us recently because I failed to pull out all of the chalks. I thought my kids had done it. They had not, and it was my fault for not
Mhm.
having checked it. But accidents like that happen all the time,
Yeah.
especially when you have
Yeah.
multiple people involved. It's great to have that
Mhm.
kind of a checklist. So, you talked about diversifying your income. There's even more income streams coming in.
Mhm.
Such a good lesson. Is there anything else that you want to leave us with before we wrap up with you?
So, if there's something that you want to do, I think go for it. Even if it's in a small way. Um, but when we were hitting the road and we were at a cookout of folks that were over maybe 50, but I would say every single person that we talked to, not just at this cookout, but when we were about to hit the road, everyone over 50 said, I'm so glad that you're doing it now. My dad, my mom, my neighbor, every single person had a story that they wanted to do this, they were planning on doing this, and someone got sick and they couldn't do it. And but also, even if you can't go full time right now, pursue it in a small way. Take weekend trips, go camping when you can. So that would be the lesson. So even though we had this big struggle of our major income source was gone or majorly decreased, we still took the leap and then made it work. And to just go after it in the best way that you can.
I love that. And it's the same thing with business too. If you have this idea, just go after it. What's the worst that can happen? I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I know there are bad things that can happen, but if you do it in a strategic way and you dip your toe in the water and just start to see what's possible, it can feel really scary at first, but at least you're trying it and you're not going to live with that regret of what ifs. It's a really important thing, and especially like you had said, with people who get sick, we don't know what the future holds, man, especially in 2024. It's a wild
Yeah.
year so far. We
Yeah.
don't know what the future holds, and being able to to say, but I am in control of my future and I can control this, and I am going to just try it. I'm going to put myself out there and try it, whether it's
Mm-hmm.
physically putting yourself out on the road like you were saying,
Yeah.
put your ideas out there in a business. Yeah, it's such a good piece of advice, and super 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 important. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Let us know where we can find you and follow along in all of your adventures, and where we can hire you.
Yeah. Well, you can find us with our travels at Journey with the G's. We're on all the main four. We have journeywiththegs.com. Now that's where I share how much we've spent. And I have blogged how much we've spent since we hit the road. So you can find the actual costs. Now, I don't have my business totals on there because everybody's business is different. And then you can find me at JennilyNGaitan.com. And I'm also on Facebook at Jennilyn Gaitan. I do have a work with me page on the website that has all the information there that you'll need. And I'll link to the Asana training once that's ready. And yeah.
Awesome. I love it. Well, thank you very much. I'll put all those links in the show notes, and everyone can follow along with you. And you're also over in the RV Entrepreneur Facebook group, so they can go and chat with you over there as well. Lots of
Mm-hmm.
opportunities to
Yep.
connect. Thank you so much for coming on today, and I will continue to follow along in your journey, and I know a lot of other people will as well.
Thank you so much. I was happy to be here.
I loved my conversation with Jennilyn. She had so many nuggets of wisdom, and 3 things that she pointed out about her story really stood out to me. First of all, she talked about finding your gift. Sometimes what you actually enjoy doing is what a lot of people don't love doing, and there is so much opportunity in those things. So for her, she loved doing the back end stuff. She loves the administrative side of things. She didn't always fall in love with it, but she has learned to love it because she has systematized it, and now through that work and through that process, she has created a way to really show up big for her clients. I also loved how she talked about using your customer's voice. Talk to them in a way that they are going to be speaking. Speak their language. When you can do that, you're going to connect with your people so much better than if you just try and speak jargony terms about your industry. Really form those relationships, and talking to your customers the way that Jennilyn described is going to be so powerful for your business. Finally, I also loved how she said that she has multiple income streams. Now, that sometimes can feel like a lot for people, but just like we talked about, actually not having multiple income streams can feel even harder. So, finding ways that you can earn money in a variety of ways will really free you up so that you can pursue more flexibility on the road without the worry of where you're going to get your next dollar. It's less of that feast or famine and a lot more freedom. All right, you guys, this was so great to talk to you and to bring Jennilyn onto the RV Entrepreneur podcast, but we never want this to be a one-sided conversation. We would love to hear from you, what you thought about this episode, what your takeaways were. So come and join the RV Entrepreneur Facebook group and let us hear what stood out to you from this episode. And definitely check those show notes because you're going to want to follow Jennilyn and you're going to want to get to know her story a lot better because she's got so many fun things going on. I certainly enjoy following her, and I know that you will too. Until next time.
RVing is more than just a hobby. It's a community. When you join RV Life, you're not just gaining access to a suite of tools. You're becoming part of a vibrant community of fellow RV enthusiasts. Share your experiences, learn from others, and make your RV journey even more memorable. Visit RVlife.com to become a part of our community and start making connections that last a lifetime.